A new development on the tariff front to report this afternoon. President Trump announcing this on Truth Social not long ago. He's talking about Europe's value-added tax, or VAT. His post says this: whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them. No more, no less. For purposes of this United States policy, we will consider countries that use the VAT system, again, value-added tax, which is far more punitive than a tariff, to be similar to that of a tariff. For more on inflation and reciprocal tariffs and the like, let's bring in the Marks Group PC, CPA Gene Marks. Gene, great to have you. Listen, it sort of sometimes happens in real time and stories write themselves. Your reaction to what the president just put out there, especially as it relates to the VAT in Europe. You and I can talk about auto trade. I know that the EU is talking about getting more in line at 2.5%, but the VAT can be onerous, Gene.
I mean, just so people don't get confused, VAT is nothing more than a sales tax. You know, I mean, I live in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a sales tax. Pennsylvania has a sales tax. In Europe, it's called a sales tax. It's called a value-added tax. And what European countries do, though, is they look at goods that come from overseas, like American goods, and they increase the value-added tax depending if it's coming from somewhere outside of their country. So that's all it is. And the president's looking at it and saying, well, that's just not fair. I mean, why are we being taxed so much? And you mentioned autos, Kevin. I just want to bring that to like why President Trump is so obsessed with reciprocity among tariffs, among the EU in particular and the US. I mean, when American car companies are trying to sell their cars into the EU, they get taxed. They get an extra tariff of 10%. Whereas if a European car company is selling their cars into the US, the tariff rate is only 2.5%. So President Trump is rightly saying, like, that's not fair. This has been going on for years, and we need to have fair and balanced tariffs, if anything, among the two nations or the two economic groups. That's what this is all coming back, is trying to make it more of a level playing field.
Fair and balanced. I see what you did there. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Let me sort of build on that as I share just some inflation numbers here in the U.S. And I want to talk about some of the concerns, Gene, that if we go ahead and we don't get reciprocity, for example, or even if we do, inflation may continue to rise. Can you help disabuse me of that concern, or is that likely to happen?
So I've been telling this to my clients as well, to the people that I speak to in my community, Kevin. I mean, we're at a 3% inflation rate right now, and I do expect it to maintain where it is at least for the next year. And I think there's a lot of inflationary pressures that are going on. It's not just tariffs. We have a massive national debt that needs to be funded as well. And unless we figure out other ways to cut, mandatory spending, not just what Elon Musk is doing, and we have high rates of interest. Interest is now taking up almost 17% of the U.S. government spending. And the money's got to come from somewhere, and most likely it's going to be printed to pay for it, which will cause inflation. I mean, I'd love everybody to be like, hey, inflation is going to come under control, but I am not optimistic about inflation going down anytime soon. And I'll tell you the other thing that concerns me, when I look at hourly wages of employees, Paychex does their small business employment watch every month, or an HR firm, and they're showing like hourly wages on an annual basis are increasing 2.7%.
Right.
Inflation's at 3%. That concerns me, that wages aren't keeping up with inflation.
Listen, I could talk to you all day because we could talk business, we can talk sports. Congratulations on your Eagles. That's right. Congratulations, Gene. And thank you for your time today. We appreciate it. Going to have to leave it there. Gene Marks for us today.
Thanks,
thank you, buddy.
Take care.
Appreciate it.